Did you know that Moses had a Gentile bride? Yeah, he did. He met the seven, right? The seven Gentile women at the well, and he ends up having one bride, just like Jesus right now, for the most part, has one Gentile bride. Now, Romans chapter 11, verse 25 says, when that last number of Gentiles has come to Christ, then all of Israel will be saved. Just like Joseph's story, right? Remember, he had a Gentile bride. And then during that 7-year time of great trouble, Israel comes back to him. They didn't recognize him at first. He shows them who he is. He reveals that he's alive, and they were shocked, and he saves them. He forgives them, and he saves them, and he unites his Gentile bride to his family of Israel as one family forever and ever. Wow. We're seeing the same thing in Moses' story. Watch this. This is going to blow your mind. So we know that Moses had a Gentile bride, and we're going to look closer into that. So Revelation 1, the 7 lampstands are the 7 churches. Now, we know that Moses found, right, in Midian, there were 7 women, daughters of this father, Jethro, and they found him in Midian, and he found them, and he protected them. And then what happens later? He gets one bride. So now the priest of Midian had 7 daughters. Let's just go through the context of it here. Then the shepherds came, and Moses drove them away. He drove those evil shepherds away, just like Jesus protects his bride, the church, right now. And he's going to protect Israel too. That's coming in the future. And it's already starting to happen, I believe. But Exodus 2 continues, but Moses stood up and helped them, and he watered their flock. After those evil shepherds drove the girls away, the 7 women away, right? And then Moses protected them. And it says here, Jesus said this, I am the good shepherd, and I know my own, and my own know me, right? Knowing, that means relationship, right? That's what we're seeing here. And John 10 continues, Jesus said, just as the Father knows me and I know the Father, and I lay my life down for the sheep, right? So Exodus 2 continues in Moses' story. When they came to their father, Ra'el, right? And I think some interpretations are Jethro. He said, why have you come back so soon today? So he's wondering, like, why are they back from feeding and watering the flock? And they said in Egyptian, saved us from the shepherds. So watch this response. I love this father. He's awesome. And what is more, he even drew water for us, and he watered the flock. So he's a good man, right? So he said to his daughters, where is he then? Why did you guys leave him behind? Why is it that you have left the man behind? Invite him to have something to eat. Doesn't that sound like what Jesus did all the time? He was constantly having something to eat with people that he ministered to. And Exodus continues in Exodus chapter 2, and Moses was willing to live with the man. That's interesting right there. Moses was willing to live with the man, right? And that is a picture of God, because God doesn't have to have us around him. He willingly wants to. He's willing to live with us through the Holy Spirit right now. He lives inside of me and other believers in our heart and our soul. But he can also live with you. If you're not a believer, you just give your life to him. But here we're seeing that same picture, and Moses being a picture of Jesus. He's willing to live with the man, right? So good. And Exodus 2 continues, and he gave his daughter Zipporah, which means bird, to Moses. He gave Zipporah to Moses, gave her over. And that's how we see the bride, even in the Jewish wedding, the father gives his daughter over to the bridegroom to be. That's how that works. All right, let's continue. In John 10, it says, and I have other sheep that are not of this fold. Remember, Jesus was speaking to the Jewish people at that time. I must bring them also. Who? The Gentiles, right? The bride of Christ, for the most part, as we see today, the Gentile church. He's bringing them also, not instead of, but also. And they will listen to my voice, and they will become one flock with one shepherd. One flock, one shepherd. right? I am the good shepherd, Jesus said. The good shepherd lays down his life for his sheep. And that's what Jethro, or Rael, right, their father of these Gentile women, of the Gentile flock, he saw that this man was willing to lay his life down for his daughters, because that was probably pretty dangerous stuff. I'm sure those shepherds were evil, and they were probably violent, and they had knives and weapons, things like that. He stood up, Moses stood up against them. Beautiful picture right there. Jesus stands up for his people, the church, and for Israel, by the way. But here it's a beautiful thing, because just like Joseph's story, we see a Gentile bride in both of these stories. And then what's going to happen later? They both save Israel. We're going to see Moses saving Israel in a powerful way, just like the book of Revelation. There's judgments that come down on Egypt, and this evil Pharaoh who's a picture, in my opinion, of the Antichrist and his false prophet, and he's unwilling to allow the people of Israel to go and worship Yahweh, to worship their God. I believe that's a picture of what the tribulation period is going to be like. And when that 7-year time of great trouble happens, that's when Israel is saved. Like it's pointed out in Daniel chapter 9 and 12. It's also pointed out in Joseph's story. The same picture, you guys. Amazing stuff, how God gave us all of this. Hey, if you haven't hit this playlist yet, click on this playlist, How to Find Jesus in the Old Testament. You're going to see much, much more. We just did a whole series on Joseph. You don't want to miss that or the other episodes. So click on this right here, this playlist.